This is the plaintiff, Beatrice Morrison. She says she went to the defendant for a hair weave, and the inept beautician ended up burning her hair off. Now she's going bald. The sassy woman denies any wrongdoing. She can't even go out in public without an unsightly wig, and is suing for $7,500 for wig products and pain and suffering. This is the defendant, Felicia O'Donnell. She says the plaintiff keeps insisting she used a bonding glue on her forehead, which for the record, she did not. The woman was very happy when she left the salon, and she can't come around almost 3 months later and blame her for making her hair fall out. In fact, this sounds like a real scam to her. She's accused of scalping a customer.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Be seated. Come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay. Beatrice Morrison?
Yes.
You are suing Felicia O'Donnell for $7,500, a statutory maximum in your state of Colorado, because according to you, she messed up your weave and caused you hair loss and much pain and suffering. Tell me what happened.
Okay, I called my niece, Angela Morrison, because she always has gorgeous hairstyles and stuff, so I wanted to go to her beautician to get my hair done. She referred me to Jay, and I went into the shop, and Jay was leaving town that day. So he asked me if it was okay if Felicia finished.
How far along had Jay gotten?
He had only washed my hair.
Finished? Really? You could have washed your own hair. That's like he barely started then, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
He just barely
Now, do
started.
you live in Colorado? Do you live in the city where your niece lives?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You are a flight attendant?
Yes, ma'am.
So you travel a great deal.
Yes.
And do you normally do your hair at home? And where are you from? Denver?
I'm from Denver, but normally because of the fact I worked for a major U.S. carrier, I was getting my hair done in Africa. So I was doing a lot of braids and African styles.
Okay. Where were you? The last time that you did it in Africa was when?
It was 2 months before I went to her.
Okay.
Here
and you
are-
had done it in Africa the preceding how many times?
Like,
Years.
yes.
Okay. So go ahead.
Okay. Here are pictures of my hair the morning that I went into the shop and also before I went into her shop.
Let me see it. You took pictures of yourself before going into her shop?
Because of the fact, what was going on was it was an African hairstyle and I wanted to get it redone.
Okay, but which pictures are the ones before you walked into the salon?
The one where you see nothing but a whole lot of thick hair.
Wait, is it this one that you took a
No,
picture?
that's me before I even...
Okay, so these are the ones?
Yes, ma'am. That's the day I went into the shop.
Okay. So what happens?
Then I had requested a sew-in weave, which was $170. I wanted needle and thread only. Okay?
As opposed to glue.
Yes, I wanted no glue on my hair. My hair was all virgin hair. This is the first time it's even seen a hot comb. Had no perm, no nothing. I babied my hair.
You've never permed your hair?
No, ma'am.
Your whole life, you've never permed your hair?
Well,
You've never...
what happened was back in like 2007, I cut my hair to where it was like 2 inches long. And then I regrew it, and since then, it's never been permed.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I cut it all off, and then I went new.
All right.
Okay, and then I went to the beauty salon in D.C. on...
Wait, what'd you get from them? A sew-in weave?
Okay, she did my hair. It looked nice and everything. I have pictures of it after she did it.
And let me see the pictures after she did it. And this was in what month and what year?
It was October the 12th.
Of what year?
Of last year.
2012.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me see the pictures after you left there.
Okay, here are pictures of the hairstyle she did.
Okay, and then?
When I got it taken down, which was December 10th, I went to a beauty shop in D.C. When they took my hair down, this is what I had. And this is more than what I had at that point, ma'am. I have bald spots here, here, and big time up here.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to come forward if you can.
Thank you. Right in this corner.
Okay, and then I'm going to ask you to turn this way, like towards there. Are these stitches?
Yes, ma'am, I had a biopsy done.
Okay.
I had 2 surgical biopsies done, one here and one over here.
Okay.
And this right here is the scarring from where she put glue on my hat and said it wouldn't bother me.
Okay, go ahead and go back to the lectern. Tell me how you did her hair.
I did a sew-in on her.
Okay.
And when I did the sew-in, when I completed the sew-in, it was done in a beehive in the perimeter. By the time I got to the forefront and the crown, I placed the weave to where she would have a natural fall bang because that's what she asked for. And we did coil curls all the way around.
Okay.
So during the process of sewing in a weave, I don't sew in my closures. So on top of the braid in the crown, you make a flower with the small piece of track of hair. And I placed it, which was on top of wefts of hair as well as her braid.
Get to the glue part.
That's where the glue was in the crown, which sat on top of a braid.
How much glue and how?
I have some glue here and I can demonstrate. It would be a pea size. I don't even have to demonstrate. It
How
would
many
be
piece sizes?
1
And where? On the top of the crown?
on the braid.
Okay, and does it touch the scalp?
No, ma'am.
Why is she has a burn all the way across the front right here?
My opinion is when Miss Beatrice went and got her hair redone, they may have bonded some bangs in her. And I would
Except
like
for her
to see.
testimony is that the very next time she went to get it redone, as they're removing it, they're telling her everything that's going wrong because it's coming out in their hands. How did that work when you were?
It just all came out with
like
the
when
thing.
they're taking apart the weave, it's all coming out in their hands.
Yes, it's just coming out with the extension part, and it wasn't even. My scalp didn't even hurt.
So if you're the last person who touched her hair and the hair is all coming out in chunks at that point when they're taking apart the weave, and the person is saying, oh my gosh, look, and before her, the person's in the taking apart stage. Mm-hmm. The person's not doing anything to her hair yet. They're in the taking apart stage, right? Mm-hmm. Am I missing something? Black hair is so complicated. I try so hard because I get so many of these cases. And I don't care how empathetic I want to be to you guys. Unless I've endured what you've endured, it's so difficult. And I watch Chris Rock's documentary. I try to educate myself. I read on this topic. I personally don't understand. I know the grass is always greener. Why everyone doesn't just go natural? Because I think that's so beautiful, because I can't have it, but it's not my place to say, but I'm trying to understand. And if the person's taking apart, assuming the truth of what she's saying, that she's sitting at the very next salon she ever goes to, and they're in the taking apart process where they're taking that weave apart, and it's coming out in their hands, what else would cause it?
There are scalp disorders such as alopecia.
Right.
I asked Miss Beatrice when I first got acknowledged of this, when I was able to speak with her, had she been to the doctor? Because there are scalp disorders.
And she said?
And she said no.
Okay.
She said
then she then went to the doctor. Let me see all of the medical records that you got.
Okay. And I also have instructions on what I wanted. And for what she is saying she put glue on my hair for,
Okay, but what she says is she only used a pea size on the top at the very end.
But she didn't have my permission to use any.
But I have a question. When someone takes a tube, show me the tube. The theory that she glued your whole weave on, there's 2 different ways to do weaves, right? Or are there more than 2?
There's more than one.
Okay, well, for our purposes, it's sew in or glue.
Everybody has a preference.
But why, come on up. But why by the way, where were you? You were in some big hurry to go somewhere else.
Okay.
Because you left her holding this bag. Go ahead.
The sewing is better. It's better for the hair than the other.
She paid for sewing, right?
That's what she paid for.
Okay, and you,
And
according to
that's
you,
what
you
she did.
sewed.
I sewed her hair.
Right, and there was only one dot back here and there was nothing up front.
Never had to
Did she
bond
have
in
that scar up front when she saw you?
You know what, Your Honor? I don't know.
How do you not know?
I did not have a reason to look at her forehead
How about
to
you
see
when
if
you
she
wash
had
your
any
hair?
scars.
There was no scars on her head. When I shampooed her hair, I could tell that she had previous scalp conditions, judging from my 16 years of experience. And she was also an hour and a half late. So when she came in, she had just taken braids out and she had a lot of hair loss then.
Okay, let's look at what the doctor says. All right, I have a
page-
2-page, I have a 3.
The lab report.
I only have 2 pages of a lab report.
Okay,
And in
page.
these 2 pages, here's what it says. Specimen 1, because they took 2 biopsies, is most consistent with non-scarring alopecia, such as androgenic alopecia. There is some inflammation and scarring in specimen 2, but it may simply be related to chronic folliculitis in this area. The pigmented hair cast is consistent with traction alopecia. Traction alopecia means what?
Pulling.
That's from
Here's the
Pulling.
paperwork.
That's from pulling.
Yes.
Pulling. So, just for the sake of argument, why would glue be worse than weave? Glue
Okay,
would.
ma'am.
It almost seems like the sewing would be worse than the gluing.
Excuse me, ma'am. All of my hair, all of this back here was sewn. I lost no hair back there, okay? For one, when
Are you
she
saying,
put,
just a moment, ma'am, are you saying that everything here was glued? Everything here was
Yes,
glued?
ma'am.
Okay, and while you're sitting there, do you have eyeballs? Because if you have eyeballs and you have paid for a sew and weave and someone has glue up there for, how long does it take to do hair?
It's about 2 hours to
Yes.
sew in a weave.
Yes.
Okay,
it is.
so, and someone is up there for an hour because half your head is being glued with a glue bottle. Don't you notice it? Because
It'll
I'm not sure that
it'll take-
happened.
No.
All right, I'm
ma'am.
going to take a recess and I want to make sure that I am not misinterpreting a word in this because this is key. This medical report is key to this case. And I want to make sure I get every little bit of it.
All right. Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. Is glue more dangerous in losing hair in a weave than, say, sewing?
It is.
Why do you say?
It rips out the hair follicles and then you kind of lose your hair.
You buying that?
Yeah. I think.
Anybody else know about weaves? Weavesies?
I know weaves, but I wouldn't want glue in my hair.
Why?
Just
Because I thought they do that sometimes.
no.
They
Well,
don't-
they do, but I wouldn't want it in my.
Because?
I just want natural products more than glue.
Okay, fair enough. What do I know? Going inside the courtroom.
I looked at your medical report to try to figure out what it is that they're saying. And let's go over exactly what the lab report you brought my attention to says. There's 2 specimens taken. Specimen 1 is most consistent with non-scarring alopecia, such as androgenic alopecia. What is androgenic alopecia, ma'am? Do you know?
No, ma'am. I looked,
Okay, I'm going to tell you what it is. What it is genetic hair loss. That's what androgenic alopecia means. It is most consistent with genetic hair loss. Okay, there is some, and by that it means old age. You know, where you're 56, I'm 52. I know your pain in many respects. Okay, there is some inflammation and scarring in specimen 2, but it may simply be related to chronic folliculitis in this area. Chronic folliculitis. Folliculitis is when hair follicles become infected. Okay, specimen number 2 is most consistent with traction alopecia. Traction alopecia is gradual hair loss by the pulling force of tight braids, a substantial risk in women of African American descent who use hair weaves a lot. Okay, so, okay, what about that has anything to do with glue, which is the premise of negligence in this case? Absolutely nothing does. You testify to me that you have had your hair done all over the world in different places and that you've always had weaves. This is just one of those things that you cannot pin on them. It's just, this is something that according to your own doctor is a chronic condition from years. You know, somebody else may not have that at 56, but you do. And I don't know, my advice to you is just leave it alone, let it go natural for a while. But this, based on the evidence that is in front of me, I cannot order them to pay you $7,500 because it's their fault, because your own doctor doesn't say it's their fault. Verdict for the defendant.
Thank you.
All right, both sides, hold on, please.
Hallelujah.
yeah, she didn't even get all the evidence.
The Judge Milian has ruled that the glue is not the culprit in this case. What's your reaction to that?
Well, the judge didn't hear all of my evidence. There was a misunderstanding off of the bat. You know, Felicia told the wrong way. She braided my hair, and there's certain ways to do stuff.
Do you accept the fact that this could be natural?
No.
Natural occurrence?
No. You know, if you...
How embarrassing is it to have to go around then, work and everything?
I don't. I have to wear a wig. I mean, I still feel that it's her fault. The judge didn't see all the evidence.
All right, right around the corner. Somehow it's always the judge's fault when somebody loses. Huh? You feel it was the judge's fault that you won?
I am glad that I won that case. I am very glad.
I feel.
What, are you throwing your voice?
No. No.
Well, what do you think happened in this case?
Well, what happened in this case is that she's an international salon hopper. And when you go from salon to salon, you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. And it's not good to lie on people.
Harvey?
You know, I got to tell you, in a case like this, it is so helpful to have an expert on your side. It is really hard to win a case without expert testimony. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.